The countdown has officially begun, ladies and gentlemen, and by the end of tonight, if Major League Baseball and the Players Union have not agreed upon a brand new CBA, a collective bargaining agreement, there will be a lockout, and that means teams and players will not be able to communicate back and forth. So Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, they won't be able to talk to any teams, and the same goes for Freddie Freeman, who wants a 6-year, $180 million deal. That's only $30 million. I feel like that's more than fair. Why have the Braves not sent that contract offer? It makes absolutely no sense to me. But yeah, this has to be Freddie every morning waking up and checking his emails, expecting an offer to be there. But anyways, what's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. We have a lot to talk about today. We have a trade that we have to break down, as well as a few players that were released and a few other players that signed with brand new teams. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support over the last week. These recaps have been doing really well, and you guys have been subscribing more often. So if you're into baseball, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Joey Wendle. This trade came from left field. I was not expecting this whatsoever because Joey Wendle was an all-star in 2021. He has been traded to the Miami Marlins for an outfield prospect by the name of Cameron Misner. So let's go ahead and break this trade down piece by piece. So obviously the biggest name in this trade is Joey Wendle. Again, he was an all-star just a season ago. He had a 110 OPS plus. All that really indicates is that he was 10% better than the average hitter, and he was a superstar defender. Whether he was at second base, third base, or shortstop, in totality for the 2021 season, he had a 10 DRS, 10 defensive run saves, so he's a plus defender no matter where you put him. The only thing is he going to be playing third base? Because they just tendered a contract to Brian Anderson. He's coming back from shoulder injury, so does that mean that BA is going to be playing left field? Because Miggy Rowe, he is an elite shortstop defensively, so Joey Wendle's not going to play shortstop. They have Jazz Chisholm at second base, and his ceiling is pretty sky high. I think that Jazz could be a face of baseball pretty soon. So Joey Wendle most likely is going to be playing third base, and Brian Anderson, he might be a DH. If they bring the DH to the NL, he could very well do that, or maybe they shift him over to first base and Jesus Aguilar becomes the DH of the Miami Marlins going forward. That would make a lot of sense, and I'm praying to the baseball gods that it does happen. I know a lot of you guys still want to keep the old school style of baseball, and to be frank, I've seen a lot of people who just don't want the DH at all, even in the American League, but to me, it would make the game a little bit more accessible and more watchable because watching guys like Framber Valdez trying to hit in the World Series, it was kind of cringy. But let's go ahead and talk about what the Rays are getting in return for Joey Wendle. The 35th overall pick in 2019. You have Cameron Misner going to Tampa Bay. He played 23 Arizona Fall League games. That happened over the course of the last, month and a half. So he had 7 home runs in those 23 games. He has a ton of power. He is very toolsy, but of course, with pretty much every other toolsy baseball player, the power's there, the speed is there, he has decent defense, but if he plays a full 162 game schedule, he's going to strike out anywhere from 150 to 180 times, so he's got to put the ball in play a little bit more often, but when he does, yeah, it goes a long way. So that is the Joey Wendle trade in a nutshell. He is going to the Miami Marlins and most likely playing third base, and in return, the Rays are getting 35th overall pick from 2019 outfielder Cameron Misner. Now, we're going to stick on the topic of the Marlins because, wow, the end of an era happened. Lewis Brinson was designated for assignment by the Marlins. He was traded for Christian Yelich a few years ago. He was kind of like the headliner. He was supposed to be kind of like the next Byron Buxton, the next Mike Trout. Christian Yelich, since 2018, the first year of that trade, he has 101 home runs, 65 stolen bases, and a near 150 OPS plus. Lewis Brinson turned in 23 home runs, 8 stolen bases, and a 55 OPS plus. So even though he had that stretch in 2021 where he was basically Babe Ruth, he was absolutely horrific with the Marlins, and he had all of the pressure in the world on his shoulders. He just could not amount to it. Now, I've heard he's a really nice guy, and I just hope that his future going forward is brighter than his past. The Marlins also released Jorge Alfaro, so they botched the Christian Yelich trade. They botched the JT Realmuto trade because Jorge Alfaro was the centerpiece of that one. Okay, wait, actually, there's still some hope for this trade because I completely forgot the Phillies gave away Sixto Sanchez as well. And yeah, he's good. So real quick before we talk about kind of the biggest signing in my opinion of yesterday, Raisel Iglesias going back to the Angels, let's talk about a feel-good story. Clint Frazier, he inked a small deal with the Cubs. Good for him. I'm just hoping and praying that his vision comes back to him. I believe that he has a severe case of vertigo. If you don't know what vertigo is, it essentially is where your head just kind of spins at random, so your vision gets distorted and you just don't feel great, which makes it kind of hard to be a professional hitter in Major League Baseball. So again, all of my prayers go out to Clint Frazier. I know he just got engaged. Moving on over to the biggest signing of yesterday, Raisel Iglesias signed a 4-year deal with the Angels. This one is nearing $58 million. He was discarded by the Reds, and then he turned in a Cy Young performance. Okay, not really. He was 11th in Cy Young voting in 2021, but that's still pretty good for a relief pitcher. So the Reds, they definitely have to regret this one because their closers were not good last year. So he finished 2021 with a 2.57 ERA, a really good 2.83 FIP, and 33 saves, along with a whopping 13.2 strikeouts per 9. The Angels have had a very solid start to the offseason. Yes, they lost out on Robbie Ray and Max Scherzer, but Clayton Kershaw is still in play. And, I mean, if this lockout happens, they still have a couple months to go grab someone like Carlos Correa, who the reports are right now, I should say rumors actually, that they've offered him a 10-year or 12-year, $370 million contract. If that happens, the baseball community is going to erupt because that lineup with Anthony Rendon, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Jared Walsh, I mean, the other guys that they could sign, it is going to be lethal in Anaheim. Which also makes me think, why are they called the Los Angeles Angels? I've always wondered that. Aren't they in Anaheim? I've always, okay, never mind. But yes, I absolutely love this signing. Good for the Angels and their fan base. I mean, a lot of people clown on the Angels fan base because they're very loud on Twitter, and that's because they're kind of just sick and tired of being a bottom feeder team because their management consistently chooses offense over bullpen and starting pitching, which is what they need. And now it seems like they have the right idea, so good for them. We have another signing. James Paxton is going to the Red Sox on a 1-year, $10 million deal, so he is trying to prove himself, just like Michael Lorenzen when he went to the Angels for $7 million. But the reason why he's not getting as much money as he should is because Paxton is coming off Tommy John surgery. The Big Maple was fantastic in his first 6 or 7 seasons with the Mariners, and then not so great with the Yankees. But he had a 3.58 ERA and a really good 3.28 FIP in his first 740-ish innings. So again, he was fantastic. Chris Sale is going to be back and healthy for the entire season. The lineup still rakes, and if James Paxton comes back and shreds it up after the All-Star break, the Red Sox, they could be a whole lot sneakier come playoff time. Now, that pretty much does it for the signings and the trades from yesterday, kind of recapping what happened over the last 24 hours. And again, all of this is happening at a much faster pace because if we go back to the Harper Machado free agency, we had to wait until January and February to get those guys signed to brand new teams. And I'm just happy that the lockout has kind of, re-engaged interest and allowed teams to have a sense of urgency and say, hey, we want to get this done before the lockout happens, and maybe we're going to have to overpay for someone like Nick Castellanos because he's going to be a DH, so that could really make a difference in free agency. And also, the rules that are being proposed right now, we have the Players Association wanting 2 divisions, so essentially, they want what the NBA has. They want a West Division and an East Division, or a North and South. You guys know where I'm going with that. And they want 12 teams in the playoffs as opposed to 8 or 10 like we've had before. Major League Baseball, there are 2 kind of big key points. They want an MLB draft lottery, again, just like the NBA, and they want 14 teams in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to see that because that's basically half the league, and it kind of ruins the integrity of it. So I'd be cool with 12, maybe even sticking with 10 and having 2 divisions as well as a DH in the NL. I feel like that would be a perfect match, but let me know what you guys think. Also, I might be making a second video how Major League Baseball got caught using 2 different baseballs in 2021. Yes, that actually happened, but we'll see. I don't know if I want to ruffle any feathers today, but thanks so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.